We are back with you live once again on another Johnny Torch Live broadcast. Johnny Torch Live number 219, Torch News Roundup number 185. It's getting later and later, these broadcasts, I'm sorry to say, but I was so lazy today. I didn't feel like putting the show together until I took my daily constitutional pretty late as well. You know, the sun starts to set pretty early these days, at least in these parts, and then we've got the daylight savings thing going to be happening pretty soon. Well, how are you? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing very well. I am doing pretty well. I'm doing very well indeed. Indeedy do. Let's get this out of the way first of all. Unfortunately, the Bourbon Chronicles Indiegogo is not doing so well, unfortunately. No, can't say that it's doing so well. We didn't get any backers. We've got a little over a week left. Again, it's up to you. You can make it happen for the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. The Bullets Bourbon Chronicles, of course, we have... Let me scan this a little bit here for you. We've got the bonus features bundle. That's $30 for 3 graphic novels, complete full-length stories, remastered, and you also get the upcoming The Family Jewels, which is a 20-page issue, which is going to be hitting the press very, very soon. I'm assured I'll have it by October 4th, I think, but yeah, I kind of have to always chide them and say, why is it taking so long? Anyway, and we will throw in a magnet of random artwork on it and with stickers. I said, of course, if you want to specify the image that you want on it, for the first couple of backers, I'll do that. But yeah, unfortunately, don't look like it's going to happen. I am not a defeatist, however, but I kind of knew, as I said before, you have to have a huge YouTube following if you want a successful crowdfunder, because basically 10% of your viewers are your customer base. And, you know, I've got like about 100. I got 139. Yeah, we've got a couple more subs since last we spoke. And I am very thankful to all of you, even though a lot of you, I don't know who you are. I don't get notifications very often about who's subbed. I think it's because you have your subs hidden. But at any rate, I am very thankful and grateful to all of you who have. But 10% of 139 subs does not leave very many potential customers. So keep on subbing, keep on following, keep on, and I'll always follow back. I'll always sub back, as I always say. If you let me know that you subbed, give me a comment on one of the videos telling me that you subbed, and I will be happy to sub back. Follow me on Twitter. You can find the link in the description below. And, of course, back the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye at the highest tier for $30. And you will get all the goodies, the mamma jamma of them all. This gives you everything you need, and it all is remastered. That's what I'm excited about. Yesterday, I did probably the final appearance. I'm thinking now maybe I'll do one more. But as the summer is pretty much over now, I think it's officially fall, the weather is not going to be that conducive to open-air appearances. Of course, we have to do open-air appearances because no Comic-Cons. A lot of comic shops are still closed down, so there's no real place for me to do a live show, a live interactive experience to sell the books. So we have been appearing at a flea market in New Hampshire. You can check out my website for details of that. I might do one more. But especially with the weather getting colder, flea markets, I don't know. I have to admit, I've seen a gradual sort of lessening, diminished returns, if you will. In the heart of the summer, 90 degrees, blazing heat, did very well. But as the last couple of weeks have gone by, either my clientele had already visited me and didn't want to buy anything else, or it's just that there's not too many people coming out to really partake at this point in the season. So, again, Keep your eyes open on my Twitter. I might venture forth one more time next week. Undecided right about now about that. But again, you don't need to see me at a live show in order to get The Adventures of Bullets, Bourbon, Private Eye. You can get an autographed copy at any of our tiers. The first tier, the Origin, $7. Come on, you can't go wrong. A 32-page issue for $7. The first story, the meeting of Bullets, Bourbon, and his arch nemesis, Carrot Top. This guy is bad news. This dude is bad news, and Bullets, Bourbon finds a ongoing nemesis with him. The second tier, we've got the sequel, $15, and of course, Pencil Neck is introduced. One of my favorite villains. Matt is a March Hare. He's a lot of fun. He's a Looney Tune brought to life with incredible powers of destruction and mayhem. We also introduce Detective Scotch, Horatio T. Scotch, the redhead in the other trench coat. And he is a lot of fun to write. He's sort of what they used to call irascible character. And he's always causing no shortage of consternation to our hero, Bullets, Bourbon. For $15, you get both issues, the 32-page Origin and the 40-page Knock on Wood, which is a double issue. And for the trilogy, you get all three that are currently in the series. When the Night Comes, a 60-page issue, or graphic novel if you prefer, which contains all three issues in that story arc, issues 4, 5, and 6, all remastered and relettered, recolored. These are, I have to admit, you know, if you don't like the sort of rustic look of the original issues, this is the pristine version that it will never come any better than this. This is completely remastered. The colors are perfect. The lettering is perfect. There is nothing wrong. There is nothing for anyone to criticize about these. And of course, we go back to some preview pages here. We go back to the bonus features, which is the perk I'm hoping everybody will check out, particularly because you get everything. You get everything. 132 pages for only $30. That is a deal and a half. And this sets up this next issue where we got coming out, the Family Jewels, sets up the next story arc, which is going to be Carrot Top and Bullets Bourbon's rivalry coming to a fevered pitch. And Bullets is obsessed. It's a tale of obsession, temptation, and betrayal. The temptation, of course, in the lovely Veronica. She is you guys almost caught me there. I almost gave out a secret. I don't want anybody to know. You guys can play that back over and over again and see how I stumbled over my words. You're not going to hear it from me, but in the next issue, the one you're going to get here won't give out her her surname, as it were. But we're saving that for issue 8, where we reveal her last name. But you will get the introduction to Veronica. She is quite the comely beauty, and she will tempt Bullets to the dark side for her malevolent master, Carrot Top. Carrot Top has his hands full as he is working under his father, Parsnip Top, the sort of the dawn of the Vegetable Garden Gang. He's head of the 5 families of Stark City, the most powerful of the crime bosses. And so you get to hear a little bit about Carrot Top's backstory. You know, you get to hear a little bit about his history. And it's going to be really great once I love this story too as well. We're going to have, you know, just a climactic clash at the end here. I think I kind of let it slip before on Twitter, but I'll say it again, which in the final act of this new upcoming story will be the death of Bullets Bourbon. Yeah, I'm already letting the cat out of the bag for that, because you kind of want to, there's 2 ways of doing it. You can kind of shock somebody, or you can kind of get them prepared for what's to come. And so we've prepared, I hope, readers enough, saying that this could be the last episode. This could be the last adventure, because one way or another, Bullets has pledged to retire if he can bring Carrot Top to justice or die trying. So one way or the other, you know, Carrot Top was always, I have to admit, I've always said I was deeply influenced as well by the 90s animation, by comics of the 80s, by TV shows of the 80s. But I was also very much inspired by Sherlock Holmes. And Carrot Top is supposed to be Bullet's Moriarty. And will they both take a header like Holmes and Moriarty, or will one defeat the other? But whatever happens, they are sure to be locked into mortal combat for most of the duration of their ongoing clashes. All right, so thank you for your indulgence of that once again. I'm sure you're more interested in the pop culture news that we've got to discuss now coming up on the show. But really, if you want to support indie comics, just $7 brings home the first issue. And you can be doing your part in supporting indie comics, indie creators like me, who pour their heart and soul into it, who work for honestly no pay. I really struggle to break even by doing these comics. And, you know, just to know that they're out there and they're getting into people's hands, and people have come to the shows that I've been doing, the flea markets. And, you know, it's nice to be able to see people taking an interest when they do. Not as much fun when they don't. But, yeah, it's a lot of fun. But, you know, I kind of want to take the next step here. And maybe crowdfunding isn't the way for me. But one way or another, we are going to try to get The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon in front of eyes. The eyes of many. All right, so let's take a look at, before I always read the comments on the previous videos, and we call that segment Mailbag. Yeah, Mailbag. It's a mailbag segment. All right, let's see. A viewer named Kelly VT, I believe is how you pronounce that, left a comment on my Wonder Woman retrospective, which was, like I said, very popular. That's a very popular video. If you haven't seen it, you want to check that one out. We were talking in that video about the series. I don't know if it was actually the series finale or if it was just a sort of two-parter that kind of... I have to watch it again. I haven't seen it in such a long time. But anyhow, she was talking about Ike Keller. What was his name? I don't know, but he played the nephew of Scotty in Wrath of Khan, Preston. So she wrote this comment saying Ike was best known for the Witch Mountain Disney movies of the 70s, which is true. Because I said at the time, I think most people remember him from Wrath of Khan because it's such a popular movie. But he did star in those Witch Mountain movies. I think the first one was with Eddie Albert, right? Green Acres, Eddie Albert. And the second one, I think, had Betty Davis and I want to say Christopher Lee. I'm pretty sure they were both in that one. Yeah, I haven't seen those in ages. I seen those when I was a kid on the Disney Channel. You know, when the Disney Channel was a fledgling channel and they didn't have much to show, and they would show the Ugly Dash Hound and the Escape to Witch Mountain movies. Flight of the Navigator I probably saw more times than any human being would like to admit, at least. But yeah, that was the Disney Channel of the 80s. So thank you, Kelly Vitti, for the comment. And like I said, check out that Wonder Woman video if you haven't seen it. It's a very popular video on the channel. And I would love to do more recorded videos like that. I just don't have the time. It's just so... That's the thing. See, when I was started doing comics, for the first 2 or 3 years, I parsed my time from doing comics and videos because I love doing videos. I love doing them. But they're very time-consuming. If you're going to record your voice, you're going to edit the images, and it's very time-consuming. And I had to make a decision. And at first I said, well, yeah, I want to do the videos because it'll bump up my channel rather than just doing what I'm doing here, which, live streams don't get you very much returns in views. Some of my live streams are more popular than others, but basically you want to do recorded videos. So I focused on doing the recorded videos and taking the time to do that. But at this point, I really want to see if I can get Bolts Bourbon to take off more than just being sort of the side hobby between videos and the comics. So that's why that's suffering a little bit, and it's sad. But again, check out some of the videos I've done. I did a Batman soapbox not too long ago. And again, because I didn't have time to really fiddle with it, the sound was a little problematic, but it's fine. You can still listen to it and understand it. Maybe just not wear headphones. But yes, much appreciated, and everybody that checks out my videos. Let's take a look here. We've got another comment by Olskeg. Again, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but he left a comment on my video last week, 6 days ago, we're talking about Kang and the actor, I can't remember his name right now, who's going to play Kang in Ant-Man 3, apparently, although all signs point to him becoming a Avengers villain, I imagine. But Olzag said, Kang's identity and backstory is very confusing. Last I saw, he was revealed to be Nathaniel Richards, Reed's father, so he's Ramatut, Reed's father, Immortus, Iron Lad, and Kang. And somehow has a tie-in to Doctor Doom. I don't get it either. Maybe they'll retcon it and streamline it so it all makes sense. Now, I'm glad he made this comment because I didn't get a chance to really, I don't think, talk about it that much, but it really is a very confusing backstory for him. And I think what they're going to do, as I wrote back to him in the comments section, I think they'll do their own take on the character. I think they're going to streamline it. They're not going to make it as confusing. They're going to just go with Kang is one thing. They're not going to try to make him Ramatut and Nathaniel Richards and all these other things. They'll just streamline it to one thing. And they're probably going to make it their own, the same way that they took Ultron and sort of made that their own. They took it away from Hank Pym. They made it Tony Stark's. And I think the movie really suffered for that, to be totally honest with you. I think Ultron would have been a better character. Well, possibly if they had it tied to Hank Pym. Of course, they got an old Hank Pym in this series, so it would have been a little bit more difficult. But I think it probably would have still been better because it didn't feel like there was that close tie to Tony Stark with Ultron. He kind of had his sense of humor, his kind of snark, but it didn't really, I don't know, for me it didn't work. And you can find my video on that. I made a brief review about that ages ago. So, yeah, so thank you for the comment, Old Zinc, and I appreciate all the comments. We got a comment from Hunter Iggy. And first, I thank you for all the comments, everybody, and I try to get to them all, as many of them as possible, and we talk about them on the show. So if you want me to answer your questions on another live stream, leave the comments below, and I'll be happy to get to it. Hunter Iggy, nice to see you here, Hunter. Johnny Torch should, wait a second, I can click this. I always forget this. Let me put this here so everybody can see it. Okay. Hunter Iggy asks, Johnny Torch, should Aldous Hodge cast been Mr. Terrific? This is a good question. We're going to be talking about him a little later in the show. I've got things lined up, and it's not really the next question, but I mean the next story. But now that you say that, he really does look like Mr. Terrific. I think he probably would make a great Mr. Terrific. Now, I don't really know the actor. Like I said, we're going to talk about that later. I'll read off what his resume is, his IMDb or whatever. But yeah, just looking at him alone, I would say he looks like a great Mr. Terrific. So that's a great observation. Thank you, Hunter, for that observation. All right, so now we'll get to our first story. And the first story is not really a story, but we got some images of Batwoman, the first images of Batwoman, the new Batwoman for CW's Batwoman TV show. Let's see. With filming on season 2 fully underway and new set photos surfacing daily, new Wonder Woman star Javicia Leslie. Am I pronouncing that right? I think so. Javicia Leslie has shared a first official look at her character, Ryan Wilder, in costume as the new protector of Gotham City. So again, I was surprised at how this looks. I guess they are keeping her a redhead because, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but they kind of were suggesting that they were going to do something different with Batwoman, with a new actress in the costume, but essentially this looks like the same costume. Maybe that's her own hair. That's the only thing I can think of as different and not a wig. Are they going to have Ryan be a redhead? I don't know. But apart from that, it looks very much the same. We have another look at it here, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. This might even is this a legit photo? I found this one on Twitter. I think it's a legit photo, but this is supposed to be how she's going to look in costume. It looks like they might have enlarged the bat symbol a little bit. Again, I'm not sure. But the mask looks pretty much identical. The costume looks pretty much identical. So, I mean, I can't complain about it. It looks like the same costume. I thought they were going to probably do something a little different with it. But, yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Batwoman, as a new actress, takes the lead of the series. Is the show going to last with a new lead? Is the jig up? You know what I mean? Is it kind of time to call it quits on Batwoman? Or do you think this was a worthwhile endeavor to try to replace Ruby Rose? Let me know. All right, let's see. Hunter asks, Johnny Torch, what is your thoughts on Sterling K. Brown? And do you see him as Mr. Terrific? I don't know. Let me see. I will Google, because the name doesn't really ring a bell. Let me see. Sterling K. Brown. Yeah, he looks like he could probably play a good Mr. Terrific as well. I can't screen share that right now, but just checking out on Google, yeah, I would probably say he'd make a good Mr. Terrific as well. All right, let's get to that story, though, of Hawkman. We're going to talk about that next. Let's see. Let me bring up the image, and let's see. Again, we call this episode The Race Benders Are At It Again. And I don't really want to say that the Batwoman TV show was a case of race bending, because that is an entirely different character. That is someone who's taking over for Ruby Rose. She is not taking over for Kate Kane. She's just taking over for the actress. In other words, she's not playing the same role. She's just filling out the role in the show. But there is this SJW type, mandate that goes out that whenever they're trying to cast a movie or TV show, they predominantly want to add diversity before anything else. And so, in the case of apparently Black Adam, which is going to be the movie that is going to introduce Hawkman to the silver screen, they are going to race change Hawkman as well. Now, we had a big discussion about this on Twitter in the past 24 hours. We'll talk about it a little more here, but let's read the copy. The Hollywood Reporter has learned that rising star Aldous Hodge from Straight Outta Compton, Jack Reacher, Never Go Back, and The Invisible Man has joined the cast of Warner Brothers in New Line Cinema's Black Adam. He'll portray archaeologist Carter Hall. Now, see, this is where the problem is as well. Now, like I was talking about with Batwoman, they are not just saying this is a different character who's going to be Hawkman. This is supposed to be the Carter Hall of the comics. Now, I try to be somewhat lenient when it comes to something like this because, like, for instance, we'll finish the copy. The perpetually reincarnated superhero Hawkman. Now, that's kind of their out here. They're like, Well, he's always reincarnating. He's reincarnating differently every time. The same way that, in a way, they try to do with like Martian Manhunter, and they try to say, well, he's a shapeshifter. He can be anyone he wants, so we won't make him look like John Jones from the classic 40s and 50s comics or whatever. They typically try to make him black now, which, again, that's not really an affront to the character because the character is green. In this case, they're also trying to finagle ancient Egyptology and the largely baseless claims that ancient Egyptians were black. Now, I know this might be shocking to some of you and staggering news, but Egyptians pretty much looked then like they look now. We also have the hieroglyphics and statues and so forth that bear that out. They were Nubian Egyptians back then, as well as there are Nubian Egyptians now who are black. But again, this is kind of a baseless trope that everybody falls back on, where the Egyptians were black. I've even said it on Twitter that this is like the same camp that tries to say Jesus was brown, which again is another, it's an SJW construct, really, where they're trying to force some kind of ideology on ancient history. But of course, Jesus, an Israeli Jew, he was born an Israeli Jew. There is no reason to believe he was brown or black. It's just common sense. And people will try to hide behind like pseudoscience, psychobabble. But again, there is no real historical evidence to bear this out. So people tried to make excuses for this one. Now, just in my opinion, you take a look at the screen. You have an actor that doesn't look like the character. That's the simple truth. And I don't really care what finagling or shenanigans they want to get up to try to make that the case. It isn't the case. He doesn't look like the character. And the character should be served first over an agenda. I get arguments on Twitter all the time about this, and I am not going to back down because it is not racist to suggest that the character should have an actor that looks like the character portraying them. Because it's a fictional character doesn't make it any less relevant. And again, I always say, if and when the black community steps up and says, this is essentially black-facing the characters, that's when this will end. But unfortunately, right now, I think there is a movement that is trying to explain away how the black community is getting the sloppy seconds here. They're not getting their characters front and center. They are getting white characters, black-facing them essentially, and then those characters go on to star in a movie or something like that. But there is nothing essentially black about these characters other than that was put upon them. There are actually characters that were created black that deserve spotlight because it is part of their makeup, part of their DNA, as it were, like the Black Panther, where, that's part of the character. Most of these other characters that they make black, Catwoman has nothing to do with being black. Same with Commissioner Gordon. They try to make excuses in the cases of characters like Hawkman, but there really is no excuse in other cases like Commissioner Gordon, Catwoman. And so it becomes difficult because there's no letting them off the hook in this case when they'll basically do it to any character. And so, I mean, if you want to make an excuse, oh, okay, well, let's just kind of look at it from the reincarnation angle. He's reincarnated, Carter Hall is black, and, but that doesn't matter. They'll do this to every character. The next Superman, movie, Lois Lane will be black, or Superman will be black. It's just not necessary because you're offering the black community a completely changed character because you're telling them, well, they can't do anything with the characters that we created black. They're not popular. We can't wait for them to get popular by trying to put them in media and movies and television. So we're just going to give you whatever we got lying around. If we got Hawkman, we'll make him black. If we make Aquaman, another race, or Wonder Woman, or whatever, they'll just keep going on in that manner. All right, so let me finish reading the copy. Let's see. Hawkman will serve as a key member of the Justice Society of America, who will have a significant role to play in the upcoming 2021 DC Comics superhero blockbuster that will star Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who recently came out to support Joe Biden. Like I care. I don't think anybody cares. Do we? Does anybody really care? I won't get on the political tirade. Joining Hodge will be up-and-comer Noah Sorrento from Charlie's Angels, To All the Boys I've Loved Before, and the supposedly upcoming Masters of the Universe, where he'll play He-Man. Will play his JSA teammate Adam Smasher. Additional leading roles of Dr. Fate and Cyclone are still currently being cast, so expect to get more news on that front in the near future. I don't know how to pronounce this name either. Juam Colette Sierra is directing with a revised screenplay from Informer scribes Rory Hanley and Sohrab Noshirvini. Adam Straczynski penned an earlier draft. Black Adam is currently slated to hit theaters December 22nd, 2021, but with production unlikely to begin until early next year, that release date is very unlikely and is subject to change. All right, so again, as I said all the time, let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you getting tired of the race-changing characters? Are you ready to vote with your wallets yet and say, look, enough with the SJW nonsense, enough with this race-changing crap. I want my characters to look like they do in the comics, in the cartoons. The character of Hawkman was created 80 years ago this year. 80 years ago. And if he was white for 80 years, there's no reason why we should change that now. Again, it's the same excuses that, well, we don't have enough black characters because they didn't create them back in the 40s. They didn't create them back in the 50s. It pretty much took Stan Lee in the 60s to start movement on that front. But think about it. From the 60s to today, the current year, 2020, there has been many black heroes created, and heroines and villains and everything. We are not mining that supply we have. We are not putting them on display. We are sticking them in the back corner. Milestone has a wealth of these characters that are not getting, Static Shock, of course, is probably the most notable one. They're not doing anything with these characters. It's not anybody's fault that they are being lazy, intellectually lazy, by not trying to create a platform for these characters. All right, so we're going to move on to our next story now, which is basically in the same genre here of who are they race changing now? Well, apparently it's going to be Tinkerbell, because race changing the Little Mermaid was not enough. So, yeah, Deadline confirms that Yara Sharaidi will play Tinkerbell in Peter Pan and Wendy, another live-action retelling of one of Disney's animated classics. Now, before we go any further, I want to say this right here, right now, off the top. I wouldn't have a problem with them doing, a Black Mermaid movie or making Tinkerbell black if this wasn't the Disney version. Now, apparently, they're going to try to stay like they did with the other films of live action, Beauty and the Beast and Cinderella and so forth. They're going to try to stick somewhat to the storyline, use some of the music, evoke some of the costumes. That's why this is baffling. When you want to see Peter Pan and Wendy and Tinkerbell, you would think you want to see them looking as they do in the Disney version, since it's a Disney project. Now, there have been a multitude of Peter Pan films. Some of them not very good, a couple of them pretty good. you could do whatever you want with Peter Pan. You can make the whole cast black. You can make the whole cast Asian. You can make the whole cast Latino. Go nuts. Do whatever you like. But the reason this is weird is the way they're changing the Disney Tinkerbell to another race. And that's what's disconcerting. Again, I just like the other actor to play Hawkman. Don't know this actress. Don't really know. Perhaps they're very good actors. I don't know. But it doesn't change the fact that you see what Tinkerbell is supposed to look like, and the actor chosen was done so for political reasons, because obviously they don't care about fidelity to the character, to the source material. I go on about this all the time, but seriously, it's an insult to fans, because, like I just said, Hawkman has been around for 80 years this year. Tinkerbell's, the Disney version of Tinkerbell has been around since the 50s, I think, since the dawn of the Wild World of Disney, or whatever TV show used to have back then. And that's why it's, they're trying to just completely remove any of the classic looks of any of these characters in favor of the almighty diversity. And again, I don't have a problem with diversity if it is not encroaching on what already existed before. You don't change something that already existed and say, well, we have to do this now because we have to tick a diversity box. We have to say in every movie, you have to have a lead character be black, Asian, female Asian, Latino, whatever. That is not the way creativity works. That's not the way it's supposed to work anyway. Let's read the rest of the copy before we move on, because I think we've been all over this point several times. Unfortunately, like I said, it's not going to end until the black community speaks up. That's the way I see it now, because there are too many, and they're all, well, most of them are white in Hollywood that are making these decisions. These SJWs are not, because like I said, there are a lot of fans of the black community that said, that's not my Little Mermaid, or that's not my, whoever the last race change superhero was. There's a lot of them that are saying, why are you doing this? This is not what I want. This is not my, whatever, Human Torch. This is ridiculous that you feel the need to do this. And like I said, it's only going to get worse. I think they tested the waters for long enough now that where they're just going to keep changing these characters, race changing them all to, I guess, satisfy their own ego of, we're going to give you a diverse cast, a map of the world in every movie, and if you don't like it, it's tough. You're not going to get your, whatever, Tinkerbell from the 50s anymore. That's what it is. It is what it is. Until, like I said, enough people complain and realize that it's blackface. It's blackface. It's a character that was supposed to be white, and they're just going to race change it. Let's see. This is the first time a person of color has played the character Tinkerbell, in a step in the direction of bringing diversity to these stories, following the casting of Halle Bailey as the lead character in The Little Mermaid. Shahidai joins a cast which includes Jude Law as Captain Hook, and Alexander Maloney and Ever Anderson, who play the title characters in this reboot. I don't know those actors. I guess I must have missed that when that was happening. David Lowery is directing Peter Pan and Wendy based on a script he co-wrote with Toby Hal Brooks. Now, if I remember correctly, we did a story not too long ago where I think Margot Robbie was up for a role in a Tinkerbell movie, which is quite the opposite of what we're getting here. I guess it's a separate movie, but it was supposed to be from Disney, I think. Which is curious that they're not going with her now. I don't know. Maybe that script is still in the works. She's got so much on her plate, though. There's Harley movies she's doing. She's got Oscar movies she's doing. She's supposed to do Barbie someday. She's supposed to do Tinkerbell someday. She's supposed to do Pirates of the Caribbean someday. The girl's in demand. What are you going to do? The trade notes that the plan is for this film to be released theatrically rather than on Disney Plus, which is where Lady and the Tramp and Mulan both ended up. I'm curious about that Lady and the Tramp. How was that supposed to be? I didn't see it, but I imagine it was probably terrible, like all, or at least like 90% of them. I heard good things about Beauty and the Beast. I haven't seen it. And I saw Jungle Book, which, it's a far cry from the original, but I digress. Multiple attempts have been made to do something with Peter Pan since the 53 animated version, but nothing has really come close to that classic. Sure, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Shahidi had her breakout role on the ABC sitcom Blackish and recently appeared in the young adult adaptation of The Sun as also a star opposite Charles Melton. This will be her biggest role to date. So let me know what you think. Are you excited about this, or do you think, like I do, that the race benders are at it again, and we're just going to keep rolling on with that unfortunate trend in Hollywood? Speaking of race bending, this is a race bending that most people didn't have as much a problem with because it's Samuel freaking L. Jackson, but still, we've had this problem of race bending from the beginning. I think the reason why a lot of people accepted, not only because it's Samuel L. Jackson, but because it was also in the Ultimates, and they already sort of paved the way there that I think the original Nick Fury had a son who was black, and I don't remember exactly how that worked out, but they kind of made it legit in the comics, which is not really an excuse. I mean, you really shouldn't say, well, if it's in the comics, it's good. There's a lot of crap in the comics. But this reminds me, the WandaVision trailer came out. I guess it's a trailer, or is it a TV spot? Came out last week, right after I did the show. So we didn't comment on it. I seen it. I'm still excited about the show, but there really is nothing for me to talk about other than they showed Vision in the, the classic quote-unquote Marvel outfit, the way that they had Elizabeth Olsen in the Scarlet Witch outfit. So it's cute that they're going there and they're trying to pay homage to it. But, not much to talk about because there's not really much there for me to dig into. Maybe I should watch the trailer again, and maybe there's something I was overlooking now that I think of it. What else was there? I mean, I seen it last week, and I just seen like the same clips of them being like in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, in sitcom settings. I don't know, very interesting. But like I said, I just want to see it at this point. Come on, what are they waiting for? Must be done by now. Must be finished. All right, we're taking a long time here. Let's move on. Variety is reporting that Academy Award nominee Samuel L. Jackson, he still didn't get an award yet. He does like 500 movies a year. The guy doesn't have an award. Oh. Has closed a deal to return as Nick Fury in an upcoming Marvel Studios produced Disney Plus series that is currently in the early stages of development. Now, this is interesting because we had an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show that he appeared in, but he didn't have much to do with it because for the first half of the series, it was kind of like he was underground after Hydra took over, and he was kind of like on the down low, and then he kind of became back to being a big deal again. But at that point, it was like the MCU sort of cut ties with the TV division, and they lost favor in their eyes, so to speak, and they didn't part on friendly terms, as it were. So we haven't seen Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury dealing with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in quite a while. Now, I still haven't seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s final season, so don't tell me anything. Don't spoil it for me, or I'll ban you from this channel for life. Let's see. Further details are currently locked away at S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, but Kyle Bradstreet has been tapped to write and executive produce the show. Jackson is signed on for a leading role in this mystery series, but it's unclear whether it will be a purely Nick Fury-centric spy adventure or if he'll lead a larger ensemble. A Secret Invasion series has been previously rumored to be in the works, and is probably the safest bet, but fans are already busy speculating that a Sword spin-off could be on the way, especially considering that we last saw Fury when he was somewhere deep in space with the Skrulls. This new series would be the 12th time Jackson has worn the eye patch, well into his second decade, playing the part after his debut in 2008's Iron Man. He's since appeared in Marvel Cinematic Universe follow-ups Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, The First Avenger, The Avengers, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Avengers Age of Ultron, Avengers Infinity War, Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, and Spider-Man Far From Home. Why did I read all that? Because you all know that, right? He's next expected to lend his voice to Marvel Studios' What If, which is slated to debut on Disney Plus in 2021. Alrighty, so there you have it. Nick Fury. Nick. Nickelodeon. Remember that song? Am I the only one that remembers that? Nick, Nickelodeon. Yeah. Those were the days, right? Those were the days. Back when the show was in its infancy, I guess. Or that channel. Well, I wouldn't say that far. It wasn't that far ago, right? All right, I covered up that I was looking for this image here because, yeah, we got more info on the Snyder Cut. Yeah, y'all excited about the Snyder Cut? Yeah, me too. Right? Me too. When it was first announced that the Snyder Cut of Justice League had become a reality, we were told that no new scenes would be filmed for the version of the DC superhero movie that's heading to HBO Max as a 4-episode limited series next year, but it seems plans have now changed. What the heck are they doing with this thing? They're just like they're giving Snyder the keys. They're like, hey, you want to lock up when you're through? You know, buddy, you can just have everything. Look, we'll give it to you. Just go. Do whatever you want to do. You know, we're tired of hearing people complain. Make a 15-part series about, you know, the Flash's athlete's foot. Whatever. Just do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Just get out there. Get away from us. Do what you want to do so we don't have to listen to it anymore. That's what it seems like anyway to me. I don't know. He's shooting new footage now. Not enough that he gets to reassemble the movie and make it a 4-hour episode limited series. Oh, man. Man, is this crazy. But, hey, you know, if this was like, whatever, 30 years ago or whatever, and, you know, let's say 2, 3, whatever it is, 4 years after Superman 2 came out and they said to Richard Donner, come back in, shoot new scenes with Christopher Reeve and Gene Hackman and Terrence Stamp or what have you, and finish off Superman 2 the way you wanted, I would be excited. I would be all there. So far, nothing Zack Snyder has done has impressed me. In the DCEU anyway. I don't care. I don't care about this. I mean, I'm glad for people who are excited for this. And I'm not saying I wouldn't watch it, although I probably am not getting HBO Max in the near future. Although they keep sort of hyping that they're going to be doing all these shows. Other things that I didn't necessarily put in the show this week, but there's rumors of a Zatanna series. There's rumors of a Constantine series. There's not really much to say other than it's a rumor, but HBO Max, especially with a Green Lantern series supposedly coming out, very interested in that. So we'll see. Anyway, according to the Hollywood Reporter, director Zack Snyder, or Snack Zyder as we like to say here, will shoot additional footage for his extended cut of the film with Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, and somewhat surprisingly, Ray Fisher, all expected to return. Fisher is currently embroiled in a public dispute with Warner Brothers, because he's a diva, following accusations, they don't say that, I did, that he made against the filmmaker who took over for Snyder on what we now know as the theatrical cut of Justice League, Joss Whedon. The actor also claimed that John Berg and Jeff Johns, who both left the studio, enabled Whedon's behavior. Again, I think all this Ray Fisher stuff, he's being a drama queen, if you ask me, because, you know, he's a stage actor. He's used to getting his own way on the stage. You pretty much do whatever you want. You know what I mean? There's no one there to stop you. And in a movie, it's different. You got the studios telling you what to do. You got the director telling you what to do. Obviously, the producers are telling you what to do. You know, he's just not used to being told no, I think. And, you know, he didn't want to say booyah, and he didn't like the way they changed the film around. And again, I say this as somebody who was a huge fan of what Ray Fisher did as Cyborg. I'm probably one of the few people that were disappointed that we didn't get a Cyborg movie, because I think he did a great job in that role, even in the theatrical version that we got. So, I don't know. The trades report states that Fisher is in talks for an appearance in The Flash, and confirms a recent rumor that Cyborg had a much larger role in the original script. Apparently, negotiations stalled after Fisher's team wanted double the agreed-upon fee for what's been described as a 3-scene appearance. See what I mean? That's what kind of gives you the moniker, the albatross around your neck of being a diva. This is kind of like Terrence Howard territory, right? He was in Iron Man, and he was playing Rhodey. He was the first Rhodey, and he wanted to get twice what Robert Downey Jr. was making. I think at the time he was even already making more than Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr., of course, being the titular star of the film. And they kind of just graciously said, "Hey, Terrence, there's the door, buddy. You see it over there? Yeah, have a good one." You know, and he's not the only one. They did the same thing with Edward Norton. So, I mean, you know, they cut ties fast usually with folks that want their own way and are like, give me the money and show me the money. But, yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know. You never know. I mean, do they want him badly enough? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I liked his performance, but if he's problematic, anybody could play the role. You know what I mean? Just like anybody could play the Hulk. Anybody could play Rhodey. Anybody can play Cyborg. That's just the way it is. A 3-scene appearance, too. I mean, come on. He wants double the money for that? I don't know. There's no word on whether Jason Momoa's Aquaman or Ezra Miller's Flash will return to film any extra scenes. We're not sure how extensive this additional photography will be, but it could potentially allow Snyder to make some fairly significant alterations to the overall plot and tone of the movie. All right, so let me know what you think about that. Excited about the Snyder Cut, as it were. And let's move on here quickly. I know we're taking a long time here with this show, but we've got movements made in the scheduling of the MCU's upcoming slate of movies. Oh, man. They're going to keep doing this to me. They keep dangling Scarlett Johansson in front of me. You're going to see her in May. No. But you'll see her in whatever it was. What was the next one? July? No. You're going to see her in November. No. Now we're not going to see her again for a full year until May, which is a full year since the film was originally supposed to be released. Let's see. May 7th, 2021 is the new official release date for The Black Widow, amid concerns about the highly political, what can I call this where I won't get copyright struck or anything? The supposed illness that must not be named has caused. Unfortunately, this also means major changes to the rest of Marvel's Phase 4 slate for 2021, with Eternals moving from February 12th, 2021, all the way to November 5th, 2021. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is now jumping from May 7th, 2021, to July 9th, 2021. So that's interesting. I think Shang-Chi is going to be out before Eternals, and Eternals was supposed to be the first one out this year, I think, wasn't it? Maybe not. Maybe it was Black Widow, but still, they're pushing Eternals way down the line. And to be honest with you, I don't care. I have no interest in the Eternals whatsoever. I do want to see Shang-Chi, though. I remember Shang-Chi from the comics, and he really is an interesting character that, once again, we've got a diverse character that if you're willing to give him the spotlight, he's an interesting character that deserves your attention. But again, it's like all these characters like Cyborg, Shang-Chi, there's really no, pressing reason to make a movie of them other than, hey, this is a niche character who's cool. Can we show you what they really can do? Cyborg is more than a niche character, I would say, but I mean, he's kind of more, he belongs basically on Teen Titans or perhaps in some capacity like that. So, yeah, again, that's about it. That's all there is to the story. There's nothing I can say to to sort of soothe the wounds of having to be deprived yet again of Scarlett Johansson's supposed swan song with the role. I mean, we don't really know. it's a prequel. We already know she's dead as a character in Endgame. Something that I was pretty disappointed with, but who knows if they will bring her back as a clone, as a resuscitation, as a prequel, another prequel. We'll have to wait and see, I suppose. All right, so our final story, and this is a heartbreaker for me, a real heartbreaker, because I've experienced the growing pains, as they say, of this show. I campaigned hard a couple of years ago when they went full board SJW for them to cut it out, tell some good stories, get back in touch with the comic book roots of the show. And to the credit, I think last season was an improvement over much of the previous 3 seasons. But if you haven't heard as of yet, Supergirl has been canceled. The CW show has been canceled. And there is no real confirmation of why. It seems more likely that Melissa Benoist decided to call it quits. Much like Stephen Amell before her last season had said that, the thrill is gone. The thrill is gone. And he wanted to spend more time with his daughter, his family, and didn't really need the jumping around the cold Vancouver nights in leather. And although they really haven't come out and say it, I think supposedly that's kind of the same reason here why Supergirl is going off the air. There's been various reports, some saying that the show was doing very poorly, others saying the show was doing very well. I honestly don't know what's the truth. I think it was doing as well as any CW show does when they have like 1,000,000.6 or something like that on the low end of 2 million viewers. It's doing well for. I think it was doing well for what the CW expects of it. Anyway, but as I said, because Melissa, congratulations to Melissa for bringing a son into the world. And let me see if I can find the copy here. Let's see. Melissa Benoist and Chris Wood welcomes Huxley Robert Wood to the world. So now Supergirl is a super mommy of a super baby boy. And congratulations to Melissa, of course, and Chris on Huxley coming into the world. But that is probably the reason I would say why the show is going off the air. Hopefully we will see her return on Superman and Lois in a guest appearance, and possibly for crossovers. I think Stephen Amell kind of chose to just break away from ever returning, but I think, it could be possible Melissa Benoist will come back for an arc here and there. It's always possible. Let me read the copy before I go into my memoriam of the show, my eulogy, as it were. The CW, Warner Brothers TV, and Bertolini Productions announced that the upcoming 6th season of Supergirl will be its last, and the show will join Arrow as the second Arrowverse series to run its course. We're not sure whether the network canceled Supergirl or if the showrunners decide to conclude the story themselves, but it has been confirmed the final season will run for 20 episodes, with production to start in Vancouver, Canada later this month. Oh, so they're going to get a jump on it pretty soon. There was no date on when she delivered, so apparently this was some time ago, so she's ready to go back to work in a couple of weeks. Like pretty much every other major production, Supergirl shut down, but the show was hit with additional delays due to star Melissa Benoist's pregnancy with her first child. There's always a chance Benoist could reprise the role for a guest appearance in the upcoming Superman and Lois. I just said that. And show up in any future crossover event. As far as we know, The Flash will continue on past its 7th season, but announcement to the contrary could come at any time. Let's see. Melissa Benoist took to Instagram to say it has been an honor. Portraying this iconic character would be a massive understatement. Seeing the incredible impact the show has had on young girls around the world has always left me humbled and speechless. She's had that impact on me too. She's taught me strength I didn't know I had, find hope in the darkest of places, and that we are stronger when we're united. What she stands for pushes all of us to be better. She's changed my life for the better, and I'm forever grateful. I'm so excited that we get to plan our conclusion to this amazing journey, and I cannot wait for you to see what we have in store. I promise we're going to make it one hell of a final season. So, yeah, let's traverse backwards in time a little bit in history. I mean, I suppose I could always eulogize it, but when the show is actually on its last episode. But I'm sure by then I'll want to eulogize it all over again. So we'll do the first eulogy now, and we'll do another one later. But when the show first appeared on CBS, I was very excited. Melissa Benoist, perfect choice for the role, perfect actress. She's a wonderful actress, beautiful lady, and she embodied the character so well. The youthfulness, the naivete, the eagerness. And the first season was on CBS. It took a little bit getting used to. Of course, I love the costume, though they did have to put the black nylons, the thick black nylon stockings that I complained about every single year. That looked ridiculous on her. But it felt very much in keeping with the comic book version of Supergirl. I felt very much that it was doing right by her. The first season, of course, wasn't perfect. They still had Cat Grant and the feminist agenda being very, very in your face. They had the race change Jimmy Olsen, the very, very drastic reinvention of Jimmy Olsen, which felt like they didn't know what to do with him every season. And the character, honestly, was a mistake from the beginning. They had classic villains in the first season, particularly. They did a Bizarro Supergirl, which they never went back to. They did the Live Wire. They did Jailmaster. I think they did a bunch of them that were from the comics. And it felt very much like they were taking, for the girl who has everything, they took some beats from comics, even if they were from Superman, and applied them to Supergirl. And again, it just felt like they were getting off on the right foot because why? They were on network television where there was a lot more at stake. And if they screwed up with politics and stuff, it was not going to last. Unfortunately, it still was not going to last, even though they had a crossover with the Flash Grant Gustin, which was a lot of fun. But then the move to the CW happened, and we all breathed a sigh of relief because, like I said, there was no way CW was going to cancel a show because it was going to get enough viewers, being a DC Comics thing, and so it would be able to last for a good decade. Unfortunately, that don't look like it's going to be the case. But again, from the beginning, they took some drastic moves to SJWize this show more than any other show in their canon. Although an argument can be made for a few other, Legends comes close, Black Lightning comes close, but I would say that Supergirl still holds the medal, holds the award. The Alex coming out storyline was way overblown. They really sunk that. They sunk into the screen time of every episode of season 2 for that storyline. Became very much difficult to get through. Then even after the aftermath of that, they still had, some pretty, glaring SJW things that carried on. They basically did a slap at Trump in 2 seasons ago with Agent Liberty and all that stuff, and taking shots at conservatives and so forth, which again was not really warranted and not really, welcomed by a lot of fans. We got the first transgendered hero. Again, a lot of hoopla. The character is pretty much a nothing burger. And yet they kind of had to just keep sticking her in there. And so again, the show never really reached its potential. The show would have reached its potential had they stripped away all that SJW stuff. They went from the LA feminist angle to sort of the Vancouver, LGBTQ angle, and from there on, the show just never really took off again and approached the heights that Melissa deserved. Because, like I said, she is fantastic in this role. It's the same way I feel about Grant Gustin. I really wish he had a better show as the Flash than he's surrounded with there, because I can't really remember, beyond like maybe the first 2 seasons, them really getting it right there either. But it's like there's just too much soap opera. There's too much. It's the CW way, of course, is the soap opera and the angst. But they don't let their superheroes take center stage. In the case of Supergirl, they really let the SJW politics take center stage. And it really upsets me that this show will never have reached its full potential. You also had in later seasons with Lena Luthor coming on the show difficulty because the fan element, the fandom, which proved toxic for Arrow, and also to an extent to the Flash, also leached on to Supergirl and sort of made their feelings known that they wanted Supergirl to wind up with Lena, which of course was never going to happen. And of course, because he said that, the kid that played Winslow in Supergirl, he of course was shown the door. So again, the CW has a habit of doing that, letting their fans dictate, quote unquote fans, dictate what's going to happen in the series. So again, yeah, it's a sad thing to me. I think the show has improved last season, particularly with the, I guess, semi-regular status of John Cryer as Luthor. He's done a lot for this show. Of course, Katie McGrath as Lena Luthor is very strong. We still have a strong supporting actor roster there with, David Harewood and Lee. Shira Lee. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing her name right, but anyway, they're good actors all, and I wonder if we're going to see them move on to something else. Are we going to see, like, for instance, Brainiac 5 join the Legends? That could be a possibility. We could see Martian Manhunter on Superman and Lois, maybe. There is a past between them. It seemed like a contentious past for the first few meetings, and then it seemed to become a good friendship. So we could have that explored. I would like to see these characters continue on and explore in a way. There's not much you could do probably with Alex. I don't know where you would put her. I don't know, but there is like possibilities still. You could always have them show up from time to time, and it would be fun to see these characters get to have their stories play out like Constantine did, and get the full story out with him on Legends. You could also do that with, some of the other characters. Would be interesting to see. How they going to end the show, I don't know. He's probably going to wind up with Mon-El in the 24th century or whatever it is that he belongs to. Of course, they ruined that as well, because I knew they were going to ruin that when they had the end game be Mon-El, but still had him married to some other, I don't know, some other Legionnaire, and now Supergirl's going to look like the other woman, and it's just going to look like a disaster. But that's probably the end game. And it's, I guess, art imitating life, or life imitating art. I'm not sure. But anyway, thank you to Melissa Benoist for playing this character so well for so long. I wish we had you for longer, but I guess it's understandable to an extent. I will always regret, and if you'll remember the days of my campaign, Supergirl, please punch a big robot, that they didn't do away with the SJW politics sooner and stronger than they did. And we could have really had something very special and very epic. Unfortunately, it's going to always kind of be just there, kind of mid-level stuff. And I think ultimately, sad to say, I think all the CW shows are going to be remembered that way. That's just my opinion. I think maybe with the Flash getting the lion's share of credit for being a pretty reliable show, Arrow maybe coming in a close second. The rest of them are very hit and miss. You know, it's just sad. It is what it is, because I wanted these shows when I first saw Arrow, and I said they got a chance here to make the Arrowverse something exceptional. And they did for a while. They did for the first couple of years. But like I said, kind of after the second season of Flash, first seasons of Supergirl and Legends, it kind of hasn't lived up to the potential, has it? Am I wrong? Let me know in the comments below. And like I said, be sure you leave your comments. I will read them whenever possible. What do you think about the ending of Supergirl and how that's going to affect the Arrowverse at large? Thank you for joining us once again. God love you for joining us. And please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Back the Adventures of Bullets, Bourbon, Private Eye on Indiegogo while you still can. And you can always check out my website, because we are offering them to you all the time anyway. But, of course, the Indiegogo comes first. And if we do manage to get it funded, you know, you'll get that first before it becomes widely available, the other issues that are not yet available. All right, so until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.